Hey, we know that a lot of people are stuck at home with their kids. They're trying to think of some homeschool stuff to do. So here's a really quick, fun little science experiment you can do at home with the kids. Get them interested and get them off the screens. All you're gonna need is a little jug, maybe a plastic water bottle, anything you can find at home that's some sort of container, a little bit of rubbing alcohol, and then of course you're gonna need some sort of air pump. It could be a bike tire pump, it could be anything. We put on a little stopper. This really helps with the experiment. You can of course use your hand to try to cut off some of that air supply, but for the most part, you're really gonna wanna try to make some sort of makeshift stopper. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna open up our little jug and add a little bit of rubbing alcohol. We don't need a lot for this experiment at all. Just a little bit so that way we can coat the bottom. And we're just gonna rub it around a little bit, make sure that the bottom is all coated, get it all the way throughout some of the sides so that way it's going all over the place. And now here's the fun part. We're gonna add that air in. So what the science experiment is showing is that as we add more air, the water molecules inside of this are actually starting to compress. They're getting closer and closer and closer together, and what we're gonna end up doing is making a cloud inside this bottle. Really fun experiment that we do at our school visits. It's always a lot of fun for the kids. You don't need a lot of air for this, usually about 4 or 5 big pumps, but keep an eye on the fact that it feels like as you're doing this, that this sort of bike pump wants to push off a little bit. That's a really good sign that you're just about there. Usually add 1 or 2 more pumps, and then as it gets going, it will usually start to feel it push off on its own. And there you have it, a little cloud inside a bottle. Now here's the really cool stuff with this, the teaching moment for the kids. Of course, as we add more air to this, all of the water molecules in here have nowhere to go because we've closed off that air supply. So they're being forced to get closer and closer to each other, compressing together, and that when it condenses, that's what actually forms this cloud inside, which is really similar to what we see in the atmosphere. Of course, as this stopper starts to come out, all of the air is coming out, the air is expanding, and it's actually cooling a little bit as it starts to come out. That's because the same thing with the environment, as air starts to rise, it starts to cool a little bit more, and that's when clouds start to form, as that moist air starts to meet the cooler conditions. So it's really similar to what we're seeing here. It's a really great experiment to try with the kids. Let me know how you guys do. Share any of those pictures you see, and if you want to see more science experiments, be sure to send us a comment.